The purchase. First, the smell hits you, that distinct, unforgettable scent of leather and newness with a faint chemical undertone, a scent oddly reminiscent of ambition. You're in the driver's seat of a 2024 Camaro SS Mosaic Black Metallic. The salesman has stepped away to run the numbers. A phrase you both understand means the deal is done, just awaiting your signature. You're 25 with a job that, for the first time, pays real money. Not life-changing or never worry again money, but money with commas in it. After years of scrutinizing every dollar, those commas feel like oxygen. The seat molds around you as if custom built. The steering wheel feels cool beneath your hands. Outside, the dealership lot gleams in the afternoon sun, a landscape of chrome and optimism. You think, I earned this. Not just the down payment, but this moment, this specific version of yourself in this seat. You earned the right to desire something beautiful and to acquire it. The salesman returns, his folder containing a number, $947 a month for 60 months, 7% APR on a $48,000 car. This is right at the 2024 national average, though he omits that detail. He states the payment as an unavoidable fact of nature. You sign.
For the first 15 minutes on the highway home, windows down, the sound system creates an almost physical sensation in your chest. You feel something you've unknowingly pursued your entire life. You feel like somebody. Here's what nobody tells you about that feeling. It has an expiration date, and the billing cycle starts immediately. Within a week, everyone knows about the car. You didn't announce it. You didn't have to. You simply pulled into your friend Marcus's driveway one Saturday afternoon, and the energy in the yard perceptibly shifted, as it does when something shiny enters a room. 3 people came out to see it. Your cousin silently circled it twice. Your mother, who'd never cared about cars, asked you to drive her to church in it on Sunday, sitting in the passenger seat with a posture subtly more upright than usual. Without a word, you understand the car achieved a social feat you couldn't alone. It made you intelligible to people in a universal language: status, arrival, proof. So you casually lean into it. You park in visible spots. You leave for work 10 minutes early just to take the long way through the neighborhood. When asked about it at parties, you deflect. It's just a car, you say, but in a tone that invites disagreement. They always do. Looks change. Energy shifts. A woman you'd tried to impress for 2 years suddenly wants to go for a drive. A coworker who barely acknowledged you now stops by your desk. Even your quiet, practical, never-wastes-a-word father places his hand flat on the hood one evening in the driveway and says, "Nice machine, son." The way he says it resonates deep within you, touching something you don't yet have a name for. You mistake all of this for respect, not yet realizing that admiration and respect are entirely different currencies. Admiration fades when the car does. Respect quietly compounds in spreadsheets, in decisions nobody sees you make at midnight. But that understanding is still 5 years away. Right now, it's a Saturday evening, windows down. You feel like the version of yourself you always suspected existed, hidden beneath the ordinary. The bill will come, it always does, but not yet. Month 4. The payment comes out on the 12th. You set up auto-pay because manually watching $947 leave your account each month felt like a self-inflicted wound. Now it simply disappears quietly, without drama, the way slow damage always works. But $947 isn't the full cost of a car.
You know this now, in a way you didn't fully grasp when you signed. There's insurance, $310 a month. Actuarially speaking, a performance vehicle driven by a 25-year-old male is a risk, priced with cold industry precision. Then there's the gas, because a 6.2-liter V8 drinks premium fuel with the indifference of something that doesn't get bills. And the first repair at month 3, a minor sensor, $340, brings the quiet, dull realization this car will always need something. It will never stop costing you. Add it up, $947 for payments, $310 for insurance, $190 for fuel, and $80 for average monthly maintenance. That's $1,527 a month, over $18,000 a year. AAA estimates the true annual cost of average car ownership in America at over $12,000. Yours comfortably exceeds that. The payment was the headline. The rest was fine print nobody read aloud. You adjust. You stop eating out. You postpone a trip. You tell yourself it's temporary. You'll get a raise, find somewhere to cut, and it will balance out. This is what financial tightening truly feels like. Not a dramatic implosion, but a series of small contractions. Your world narrows slightly. Your margin for error thins, and you barely notice because each individual sacrifice, viewed alone, seems perfectly reasonable, logical, fine. Here's what nobody tells you about fine. It's exactly how the water gets warm before it boils. You are 27. The car remains beautiful, and the payment still comes out on the 12th, a relationship with that date you don't discuss publicly. But something else has happened, something you weren't tracking. It arrived not as a crisis, but as a quiet Tuesday afternoon reckoning. Your friend Devin just put a down payment on a house. Devin, who drives a 6-year-old Civic with a cracked dashboard. Devin, your colleague for 3 years with whom you'd never discussed finances. Devin, who is 27, like you, works at the same company and makes within $9,000 of your salary. One night, alone with your phone calculator, you do the math, an uncomfortable feeling settling in your chest. Devin was putting away $1,200 a month automatically, invisibly, into an index fund. No one at any party ever asked him about it. No admiring glances, no Saturday driveway moments. Just a number quietly growing in the background, indifferent to whether anyone noticed. Meanwhile, the $48,000 car you bought has already lost roughly 20% of its value in the first year alone. $9,600 evaporated while it sat in parking lots, looking good. According to Edmunds, cars lose up to 60% of their value over 5 years. The $48,000 you financed will eventually be worth around $19,000. The loan, however, won't care. Here's the number that breaks something within you: $12,000 a year, the car's true annual cost. In contrast, 5 years of investing $1,200 a month into an S&P 500 index fund at a historical average return of 10% annually would have left you with roughly $73,000 by the time you turned 30. $73,000 isn't a fantasy, it's a down payment. It's an entirely different conversation. It's the version of you with options, not just obligations. You sit with that number for a long time. The car, beautiful and gleaming, sits in the parking lot below your window, utterly indifferent to the math you're doing. It doesn't know what it cost you. It doesn't know about Devin's house. It doesn't know about any of this. You close the calculator. You don't sell the car, not yet, because acknowledging what keeping it costs means acknowledging what you've been doing for 2 years, and you're not ready for that conversation with yourself. But the crack is open now, and light is getting in, whether you invited it or not. Month 31. It's 11:52 on a Tuesday night, and you're sitting in the quiet parking garage, engine off. Just you in the dark with the thing you bought to feel like someone. You were passed over for a promotion today. Not fired, not publicly humiliated, just quietly, efficiently redirected. The feedback was reasonable, and you understood it, but none of that made it feel better. Yet that's not why you're sitting here. You're sitting here because tonight you did the real math, the kind where you open every account simultaneously and look at them all at once without flinching, a thing you've avoided for 7 months. In 31 months, you've paid $29,357 towards this car. Its current open market value is approximately $27,400. You still owe $27,000 on the loan. Your net financial position on this vehicle, the thing you bought to feel like somebody, is approximately negative $29,000. You were nearly $30,000 underwater on an asset that loses value every single day it exists. And here's where the weight becomes unbearable. You read somewhere that 14% of American car buyers in 2024 had monthly payments over $1,000. You're not in that 14%, but you're close. Auto loan delinquency rates hit their highest point since 2010 in Q3 of that same year, meaning you're not alone in this math, but you're also not insulated from where it leads. You are one transmission failure, one medical bill, one unexpected layoff away from becoming a statistic in a Federal Reserve report nobody reads. Then there's the number that truly guts you. The average age of a first-time homebuyer in America is now 38, according to the National Association of Realtors. It used to be 33. Something happened in that 5-year gap. Many things. Car payments happened. The performance of arriving happened. The quiet, monthly, automatic transfer of wealth-building money into looking like you have wealth happened. You are 27, and the math says you're already behind on a timeline you didn't know existed. The car is silent around you, unchanged since the day you bought it, not even slightly. You were the one who has changed. You were the one sitting in the garage on a Tuesday night, doing arithmetic about your own life and not liking the answers. You go upstairs. You don't sleep well. You sell it on a Wednesday. Not with ceremony, not with a dramatic moment on a sun-drenched highway. You post the listing on a Thursday evening, field 3 serious inquiries over the weekend, and by Wednesday afternoon, a methodical, pleasant man named Robert, carrying a cashier's check in a plain white envelope, drives it around the corner and out of your life. You stand in the parking lot, watching the taillights disappear. You feel a grief that surprises you. Not exactly for the car, but for the self you were when you bought it. The 25-year-old sitting in that driver's seat, windows down, sound system doing that physical thing to his chest, feeling for the first time like the story was going somewhere. You grieve that feeling, the specific, unrepeatable high of becoming a version of yourself you'd always imagined, even if that version was assembled on a 60-month payment plan. You settle the loan. You do the final accounting. After 31 months of payments, insurance, fuel, and repairs, after everything, you walk away with $4,200. That is the total material yield of 3 years of $947 payments, $1,527 in monthly real costs, and every dark moment spent in a parking lot. You put the $4,200 into an index fund. You don't tell anyone. And here's what blindsides you, the thing you couldn't have predicted. 2 weeks later, driving a used Honda Accord that costs $280 a month, has 54,000 miles, and a small scratch above the rear wheel well, you feel something completely unexpected. Lighter. Not happy, not vindicated, not like you fixed anything or proven anyone wrong, just lighter, as though a weight you'd carried so long you'd forgotten it was weight has been quietly, finally set down. Nobody circles the Accord.
Nobody comes outside to stand next to it. Your cousin doesn't text you asking to take it for a spin. You sit with that silence, waiting for it to hurt the way you thought it would. It doesn't. And that tells you something important, something that cuts right to the center of what the last 3 years were actually about, and what you were truly looking for when you walked into that dealership at 25 years old. You are 30. Devin's house has a yard.
Last month, he hosted people with his grill and patio furniture, the scent of charcoal-cooked food in the air. You stood there, holding a beer, and felt something complicated without a single clean name. Pride for him, something sharper for yourself, and underneath both, the clarity that only comes from having lived the math. A complete, unobstructed understanding of what the car actually cost you. Not $48,000, not even the $73,000 in foregone returns, though that number is real and worth contemplating. What the car truly cost you was time, 5 years of financial adolescence. These are the most expensive years in a compound interest economy, because the years between 25 and 30 don't just cost you money when spent wrong, they cost you the money that money was supposed to make. They cost you the future version of yourself who would have had a different set of options. And options, it turns out, are the whole game. Here's what nobody tells you about ego-driven financial decisions. They don't feel like ego at the time. They feel like reward. They feel like self-respect. They feel like, I worked for this. I came from nothing. I finally get to have something beautiful. And that feeling, the desire underneath it, the hunger to be seen, to step out of the smallness you started in, that's not a character flaw. It's one of the most human things there is. But the car never actually delivered that. It delivered the performance of it, the suggestion, the temporary rented appearance of having arrived. Meanwhile, the actual arrivals, the equity, the account balance, the compounding net worth, the freedom to say no to things that don't serve you, kept receding further into a future that never quite materialized. At 30, you understand something impossible to grasp at 25, not because you were naive, but because you hadn't yet lived enough of the math to feel it in your body. There's a fundamental difference between buying something that reflects who you are and buying something to announce who you want to be perceived as.
One is an expression, the other is a performance. One costs money, the other costs years. The Camaro was a complete, beautiful, expensive sentence about who you wanted people to think you were. But what you needed at 25 wasn't a sentence, it was a paragraph, a chapter. The patient, invisible, unglamorous construction of something that grows in silence and doesn't require an audience to be real. You think about your 25-year-old self sitting in that driver's seat, windows down, the afternoon sun glinting on the chrome, the salesman returning with his folder. You don't want to shame him. You understand exactly what he was chasing, what he needed, and how reasonable every step felt from the inside. You just wish someone had climbed into the passenger seat before he signed and said, "The thing you're looking for is real. You're just looking for it in the wrong place." Because what you sought was legitimacy, dignity, the right to take up space, and none of that lives in a car. None of it ever did. It lives in the account you build when nobody is watching, in the decisions you make at midnight with a calculator and no audience, in the version of yourself who chooses the future over the performance, quietly, consistently, without needing anyone to applaud. The car told everyone where you wanted to go. The account you neglected told the truth about whether you'd ever get there. At 30, you're getting there slower, in a Honda, with a brokerage account that isn't impressive yet but is pointed in the right direction, compounding in the background while you build the thing that was always the real destination. You didn't need a better car, you needed a better question. And 5 years later, you finally know what it is. Subscribe so you don't miss the next one. See you in the next.